Hello, hello. And we're back for our second podcast with the beautiful Sherry from Creative Mermaids and me, Kate from Gumboots by the Sea. And today, well, the first thing we're going to talk about is the name of our podcast, because that was a big theme in our introduction, that we were just starting. We were just in the messy middle and just making it up as we went along, which is what we do so beautifully, may I add. So, Sherry, what did we come up with?
Creative spirits.
There's a beautiful pause then. There was a beautiful delay. So that was our drum roll. Imagine, if you will, the drum roll.
I'm telling you, every time creative spirits say this phrases. Yep.
Spirits like you messing with me. So creative spirits it is. And
I like to think it's a very powerful name. That's what's going on.
I think so. Definitely is a very powerful name. And we're going to talk, this episode, we're going to talk about why the name Creative Spirits is such a powerful name and what being a creative spirit means for both Sherry and I and what it has offered us. Because I mentioned in the first episode, breaking up with ego, and I didn't start actually writing until you, beautiful Sherry, told me that's just ego. Ego can take a hike. And that just transformed my whole using writing as a creative outlet and starting to write again. So, that was really huge for me, that creative side. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about that vessel of creative spirits and us and our meetings, etc.? Such a delay tonight.
I do, but you keep freezing. So you just let me know if you can hear me and I'll just go.
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Then I will just start. Okay. Well, actually, I love that you said that and why Creative Spirits just kind of really works into this, because we both met each other, like we said, through Harness Your Healing Brilliance, which was all about, learning which archetypes we were, which helped us with our healing, all about integrating the shadow, also getting over the wounded healer, which was huge for me. And I think for you too, Kate, this whole thing of, to be a healer, you're not allowed to accept money. You're not allowed to brag too much. You're not allowed to really show up. You kind of have to be visible enough that people want to come to you, but not so visible, that you shine too brightly. And I really love this, that we really worked through that shadow integration and really looked at some of the lies behind that and how that keeps you safe, because that's ego coming in. That's ego telling you, be shiny, but not too shiny. Don't dull anyone else's light, which is total shit. Because in the
Absolutely.
end, the brighter you are, the more you encourage other people to shine. Because by dulling your light, you're just telling other people, don't shine. Lead by example. And so we were working together through this. And at the same time, I also did the Spirit Junkies Master Course by Gabby Bernstein.
Cool.
And the number one thing I took from this, and which I've applied to everything, was this ego thing. And that was the very beginning of the course. She sits down and she tells you right away, your most destructive thing in your life will be your ego. But you have to learn that when someone tells you this isn't big enough, or if you're writing something and it's, bad first draft, or not something that you think that the whole world would listen to, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. That's your ego coming in, and per person, you've already done your job. And that one person can be you. It doesn't even have to be another person. But ego likes to step in and tell us, oh no, if you're not a bestseller, or you're not Gabby Bernstein, if you're not well known, or something that's going to blow you out of the water type thing, it's not okay. You got to go big or go home. And this was huge for me too, to realize, okay, I'm allowed to have my own voice. And when I try to stifle that voice, that is just ego stepping in, telling me, oh, keeping me safe. And your brain will do that. Your brain will kill you to keep you safe. Because it knows that change is hard. That transformation, growing up through the mud, going through the cocoon, it doesn't matter which light to darkness. It's not easy.
Yep. It's not
going
easy.
to require you to look at, yes, there's Exactly. And what's even harder for me sometimes is realizing, okay, not only is this hard to deal with, but I might never get rid of it. Even looking at it straight in the face, this might be part of me for the rest of my life. And that's not easy. And then integrating that into who you are. And I think this was really important, but also part of the spiritual journey and how the creative spirit helps you in healing, in becoming a better person, in your spiritual transformation, is realizing, oh, wait, this is my ego coming in. Let's sit down and work with this and then do it anyway.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I love that you're doing Spirit Junkies as you sort of did harness your healing brilliance, because for me, my business was spiritual. So I was going, oh, I'm doing card readings and I'm offering these things. But once I had that relationship with Wounded Healer, and I had that relationship and started to learn about this awakening and the awakened healer, and that I do have things to share. I can heal myself and I can facilitate other people's healings. My spiritual journey was just kapow. And which is what we sort of wanted to focus on, apart from that our name is the Creative Spirits, but was like spirit every day. So did that course really, like the Spirit Junkie course, really help you integrate spirit into the everyday?
You know what? Less so than Harness Your Healing Brilliance. I actually took it because that was the point, was really how to bring a spiritual business about and bring it into a spiritual practice. And it was a great course and it really helped me. But what I really found with Spirit Junkies, it was a very big overview. Where Sarah took me down to do creativity and healing and everything else, is you need to go into the foundation. And I felt like Gabby built the house, but Sarah helped me go down, look at my foundation and realize, are these foundations creaky? And, you know, it's dark down there and it's scary down there. And that's the part you don't want to deal with. But if you don't, it doesn't matter how beautiful the house is that you're building. It's just going to collapse on those creaky foundations. Wow. So I highly recommend it, but I do recommend doing the work first. Yes. Because otherwise it doesn't matter.
Do you know what? I just had the biggest epiphany, because during last year especially, I was doing a lot of yin yoga, and I wrote it down as you were talking about the discomfort and the mud and everything. It's finding comfort in the discomfort and not getting comfortable, because that's where it's danger zone there. It's danger zone in that I don't really like using the term low vibe. I feel like it can sound a little bit judgmental and a little bit, you know, ooh, that's low vibe. But unfortunately, we can get so caught up in the lower vibration that we forget that there are these other vibrations, these other energies, these limitless potentials that we can be a part of. And so, yeah, for me, that it was yin yoga coming into my body and going, oh, be comfortable, find comfort in the discomfort, was a really big part of my spiritual journey, because it was like, wow, coming into body is just as much as woohoo, yeah, I meditated and went elsewhere. I came in, I sat in who I was. Yes. I embraced it. Yes. Mess.
And love that you said that too, because yoga was also huge. So for me, like, this was the online component of the creativity, but actually the getting uncomfortable. And I had to go to class. I did some online courses and it was great. But when things got too messy online, I used to stand up and turn it off. Whereas in the yoga class, I was forced to sit there with the discomfort. And the thing is with low vibes, I think there's nothing wrong with them. The problem is when you try to fight them, when you run away from them, that's the issue. Because then they're constantly there. And that's also what you're kind of giving off then at the moment. Because you're like, you're shoving them down. You're denying them. You're like, okay, high vibes only, high vibes only, high vibes only. And you become like this crazy person, you know, who's like, high vibes only. Yeah. Whereas it's really important to do that work, right? It's important to get into your mess. It's important to feel it. And feeling it is essential and something that we really fight. And what I find that yoga and creativity is important for, and you need it for your transformation. If you can't deal with, it's like Marilyn Monroe said, actually, if you can't handle me on my bad days, you don't deserve me on my good days. And we need that relationship with ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Incredible. Perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Love all of us.
And with ourselves, not just with other people.
I love calling, that overthinking, being hard on ourselves, going, why aren't I being all sparkly all the time? To me, that's self-sabotage. We're sabotaging ourselves, right? So, like when you start to go, well, I'm not going to go to class and I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to listen to that podcast, those creative spirit podcasts. But when you try to sabotage that potential, that rising, that awakening, that's when you get stuck in those ruts, those feelings of anxiety, putting yourself down, martyr mentality, where you're not giving to self. And I really believe that's where our passions lie, and that's where spirit came in to bring us together, because we're all about give to you, and then whatever comes out of giving to you, sure, give that to the world in whichever way sits right with your true heart and soul's desire. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. And this is also something that I've started learning big time. I've started reading a lot about Inanna and the Inanna descent, and this whole thing with ego and the pain and being stripped away. And I think this is what it comes down to, is that often we don't want to be there. We're, like I said, dual, because we're giving our gifts based on a viewpoint of who we think we are. Okay, so I am this person, and so I will give my gift in this way. And that's ego talking, because ego is telling you, okay, well, you want people to think this of you. They want to think that you're wise, or you're, kind, or you're sweet, or you're whatever. Sparkly, glitter goddess, all the time. No one's sparkly glitter goddess all the time. It's impossible. Even with drugs, you're not sparkly glitter goddess all the time. There's a crash. There's a reason.
The crash is worse. So much worse. Right?
Exactly, right? But the nice thing with Inanna and the descent, and then giving up all your beliefs about who you are, and you really then come right down to the pure version of yourself. And then when you come back, you start then picking up these pieces, but you can integrate them into who you are. So for instance, if you're a mother and you're a wife and you're a writer, or you're all these different things, then when you do the Inanna descent, you give up, okay, I'm not a wife. I have no control over this person. He doesn't belong to me, or she doesn't belong to me. And to go down, you're my child. Okay, you know what? I give up rights to my child. No relationship there. I give up being who I am as a writer. And all of a sudden you strip away all these ego defining moments of who you are. Who are you with all that gone? And that's where it's horrible. It's actually described as being on the meat hook in the myths. And that's what she is. She's stripped of everything, and then she's put on a meat hook. And you think, this is horrible, but when you've gone through, last year for me was horrible. I lost my brother. He died of a drug overdose, which was just not unexpected, but at the same time, horrifying. I seriously considered ending my relationship a month beforehand. It was really a writer. And once you lose your brother, you realize, why can't I claim the writer? That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. But also okay, I looked at my relationship and I thought to myself, well, what do I want from him? What do I want from this relationship? Same with motherhood. I was looking around going, okay, but these little babies are so wonderful, but they don't need to be the center of my life. These are all things that I'm defining through other people's perceptions of what a writer is, of what a sister is, of what a mother is. And then you're kind of stripped of everything. You go, okay, now I go back and I reclaim them, but on my terms. This is who I am. This is getting out of the golden cage. In the golden cage, you're a mother, you're a sister, you're a daughter, you're a writer, you're whatever you are based on other people's perceptions of you. When you get out of the golden cage, you've done your Inanna descent, and you say, this is who I am. But, you're hung on a meat hook. It's not easy. These gifts do not come cheap.
No, that's incredible. That gets me quite just really emotional, because it really just comes down to surrendering all of it. It's just surrender.
Yes.
No defining. And I really struggle with this in my spiritual business, because sort of people go, oh yeah, so what are you? And I'm like, just very spirit led. It's very intuitive. I'm like, I'm just who I don't know, because whatever I am, it's empowering. It makes other people happy. It makes me happy. Struggle street, because I have surrendered. I've surrendered so much, to the point where now it is a matter of going, okay, well, without ego, what? Yeah, meat hook. I need to be meat hooked. Really?
Yep.
We're
and this is why the ego steps in. It's trying to stop you from getting on that meat hook.
Yeah.
It knows it's going to be painful. But what it's doing is, instead of making you feel that pain all at once, it's dragging it out slowly. It's stopping the transformation.
Yes. Wow. And it's really still an ego thing, because society does, everything is labeled, everything. I know beautiful mothers, I know super mums, and they will call themselves bad mums. And I go, what? Holy heck. If you're a bad mum, I'm in trouble. I'm going to bad mum school for a very long time. So all of these labels, putting modalities to things, that was part of our spiritual journey with Sarah K. Jones, wasn't it? It was like, well, we don't need to define anything to say that we're awakened healers. We need to trust, we need to own, we need to be. And to do all that, we do need to surrender and strip bare to put ourselves back together again in a way that defines our true, authentic self. Yeah, awesome. That's so awesome. I love it. I've been wearing
so much. Easier said than done.
Oh, right. Yeah. Always easier said than done.
Right? Like, we know. We're saying it. We're telling you to do it, but we're going to tell you too. It's going to be painful.
Yeah.
But less pain in the long run with more gain.
There's no magic wand here, guys. Like, this is just Sherry and Kate going, oh, looking back at that, wow, I am here now. But like we said, like we really stressed in our first podcast, is we are constantly evolving. We're all constantly evolving, and there is sometimes the beautiful butterfly days, the glitter. We mentioned it already today. There's the glitter and the sparkles, but then there's the crappy in the dark, and it's being okay with all of it. Like, absolutely being okay with all of it. Yeah. Simple. Wow. So a couple of other things we're going to talk about was, and this is perfect, because we're like, yeah, here's this, power to us, easy peasy. And then we're like, no, actually, it's not that easy. What does happen? What do you do, Sherry, when you fall off the bandwagon, the spiritual bandwagon? Or when you do want to define yourself, but you can't, or whatever it is that you feel out of alignment, let's say.
And it will always happen. I mean, this is something that, no matter what, it's going to happen. Sometimes it takes longer. The more aware you are, you would have bigger spaces in between. But winter is coming. Not just on Game of Thrones, right? Like, it's going to come.
Winter is here in Australia.
Right, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think the big thing then is really, for me, you can tell me yours afterwards, but for me is really to do that, to step back and go, okay, there's something wrong for too long. And I think this is also a big thing. There's bad days where you're kind of like, okay, maybe I just did this wrong or that wrong or whatever. But when bad days become bad weeks, that become bad months, I believe now you've just started your Inanna descent, because it will happen more than once in your life. And really reading about this has helped me realize what's been going on for my life in cycles. And then I realized, okay, well then the best thing to do is actually to pull back, to not just have my spiritual practice be like part of a daily thing, but actually go deeper into almost a retreat-like type thing. Now, if you have the money and time and luxury of actually going on a retreat, do it. But most of us don't have that luxury time or money. So I highly recommend, though, really then getting, like we said, the first episode was healthy boundaries. Get out there, carve them in, take the time, go to a yoga class if you have to. I mean, I end up hitting yoga classes when I'm in my worst parts, sometimes twice a day, like morning and evening. Like if I can't go to a studio, I will then hit it on the YouTube. Sit through it. Make yourself sit through it, because that's what we want to do. We want to fight it. We want to run away from it. And when you want to run away from it is when you need to run towards it. And that's the big one for me. Sit down. If you're into essential oils, set your diffuser, pull out your journal, and write through everything that came up during the yoga video. Pull out an Inanna descent. They're all over the internet, and map your personal descent onto the one that's on there. I'm sorry, my kid's singing, and I'm going to pop out here for a bit.
I love it. I love the singing. We love the singing. We love the singing. Mine are only not singing because
You know,
they're
but
in
it is really, well, they were supposed to be gone actually, but the problem was that last night we actually were in a really swelly place, and no one slept last night, so we didn't get up until almost 8 o'clock. So that's normally they would be gone, but we didn't wake up today.
it's
But I think, yes, that's a big one, is to actually, and I think that's a huge healer, okay, is to do this Inanna descent. You know, map out, well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go back down because I think that you can't hear me otherwise. Is to do this Inanna descent, to look at where you attaching to things and imposing your ego definition as opposed to your own definition, and just let it go.
absolutely.
There's actually a great book, Journey to the Dark Goddess. I can't remember who wrote it. I'll put it in the show notes, but Journey to the Dark Goddess is
awesome.
a Bible for when things get wrong.
Awesome. I love that. Yes, please share. So, oh wow. I think like keeping it simple, right? Keeping it simple and leaning into spirit and trusting in spirit. And if you're new to spirit and you're going, what are you guys talking about? Or if like even, you know, the word spirit, you're interested, but you're like, I don't know. To me, I'm all about simplifying spirit. So, you know, start with connecting to Mother Nature, communicate with the wind. What's your external environment telling you that you need to do? Because that's not necessarily running, that's still connecting to self, you know, that's still going, okay, I'm going to sit with this, and you sit with your environment, something out of family, friends, social media, you know, it's just looking at those dark grey clouds or that bright sunny environment and seeing where you're sitting in that. So yeah, then you can go, okay, spirit, speak to me, and trust in that intuitive gut to go, I do need that yoga, or I do need that walk every day, or I do need to just buy a nice tea and drink that nice tea. Like, so yeah, when I fall off the bandwagon, it can often include a bit of a tantrum, a bit of a meltdown, definitely a nice cry and a wonderful release. Ego can creep in like a mofo. And, you know, I've really got to cleanse that and go, okay, I'm usually incredibly tired trying to do 120 things at once. And I'm not listening to that inner voice that connects me to spirit. So finding a way to tune into that, really simple ways, Mother Nature, going for a walk, getting outside, can really, really help, I think. Yeah.
Huge. Yes. I'm just thinking the whole thing. I was like, ground. Stop telling yourself stories from the past. Stop trying to control the future, and just really ground into the moment. Like you said, lean into spirit. And that's what I always think when I think lean into spirit. It's just ground right here, right now, and breathe.
Always breathe. Always breathe.
Oh, you froze on me.
How funny. So ironic to freeze when we just said breathe.
Oh, you're back. Okay.
That was our little freeze moment. That was our little take a breath. Yeah. Spirit's like, here you go, have a breath. Yeah, so I think that's definitely keeping it simple. Definitely keeping it simple, and that there are ways and there are people. There's the Sherrys and there's Kates. There's us that are here to support people in keeping it simple, in keeping their connection to spirit simple, and their creative outlets simple as well. Like, yeah, there's so much magic in the simplicity of Mother Nature and our creative souls. I don't know if you heard any of that, but hopefully the recording did. Because I think we've lost Sherry. So I'm going to wrap up our second podcast of Creative Spirits and say thank you so much to Sherry. Thank you all for listening. And there'll be more of these. So let us know how you're finding them, if you're connecting with them. And you can find Sherry at Creative Mermaids or myself at Gumboots by the Sea. And we're here to love, support you as we're all in this together, the messy middle, the mud, and the light and shiny sparkly days as well. So all our love. Sherry, thank you. All her love to all of you for listening and being here. And I'm going to say bye-bye. Loads of love. Bye.